What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you a fun Warlock build for Baldur's Gate 3 in Early Access. Given that we're so close to Halloween, I thought it would be fun to kind of do a Halloween-themed build for BG3, especially since its most recent patch came out, and I didn't have anything else planned for today, really. So with the Occult Warrior here, we're trying to accomplish a few things. One, utilize the Warlock spells and everything to just have a good time as a Warlock, but also to make ourselves pretty versatile in combat, meaning using spells to attack at range or in melee, or using our weapons to actually deal some damage as well. Now, the build does have a bit of a Halloween theme, of course, but outside of that, let's get into it. So first things first, for our background, I like to pick Charlatan. This is great for a Warlock simply because we have a ton of charisma, which already gives us a bonus to our more social-related skills, and then Charlatan will give you proficiency with Deception and Sleight of Hand. Then for our race, we're going to go Tiefling, and Zariel Tiefling is really the way to go for this particular build. This is going to give us a bonus to our Strength, our Charisma, Dark Vision, as well as Thaumaturgy cantrip, and at a later level up, being a Zariel Tiefling will actually also give us an ability called Searing Smite, which we'll get into in a bit. Class, we are of course going Warlock, but our subclass is going to be the Great Old One, which is an eldritch being that we have made a pact with, giving us our powers. For our cantrips, we're going to pick up True Strike as well as Eldritch Blast, and for our spells, we're going to pick up Hellish Rebuke and Dissonant Whispers. Now, if you're unaware, the way spells work for Warlocks is a little different. They use what is called Pact Magic, meaning they only ever get a few spell slots. However, they can restore those spell slots with just a short rest, and as they level up, the base level for all of their spells increases. Meaning that even though we only have a couple of spell slots, as we level up, every spell we cast will be cast at a higher level, so all of their spells kind of scale with them as they level up, which kind of makes up for the fact that they don't have a lot of spell slots. So in a couple levels, Dissonant Whispers actually does 4d6 psychic damage as it goes up a level in its spell level. For our other skills, we are going to pick up Intimidation and Arcana. Now for some skills, that's actually going to give us a big +5 due to our Charisma as well as our Proficiency bonus, which is honestly really great for us. And if you're unaware, Persuasion will be used quite a lot, especially throughout the early access, and can help you out a ton with your playthrough. And then for our ability points, we're going to take a couple points out of Constitution. We're going to take that down to 12, and we're going to put that back into Strength. That's to make sure we get a bonus to our Strength, which is going to help us with attack rolls later on down the line. And you can see with our Charisma and Proficiency bonuses, we get a +5 to Deception and Intimidation, and a +3 to Performance and Persuasion, as well as a bonus to our Sleight of Hand. When you hit level 2, you're going to be able to pick up Eldritch Invocations. Personally, I like to pick up Agonizing Blast as well as Repelling Blast. These are going to augment your Eldritch Blast cantrip. Agonizing Blast will add your Charisma modifier to the damage, meaning that we will always get at least 4 damage out of an Eldritch Blast if it hits, which doesn't sound amazing, but you know, it's a cantrip. And it's potentially able to do up to 13 damage. And then there is Repelling Blast. If we hit anything with Eldritch Blast, it will also push the creature up to 4.5 meters away, which is awesome as you can use it to push enemies off of cliffs into lava, that kind of stuff. Very versatile Eldritch Invocation there. And then for our spell this level, we're going to pick up Hex. This allows you to curse a creature, and it will take an additional 1d6 necrotic damage whenever it gets hit by us with an attack. Plus, we can also force it to take disadvantage on an ability check of our choice for any ability that we choose. Moreover, if the creature dies while this is active, you get to recast Hex for free. That is to say, as a bonus action without taking up a spell slot. And if that actually happens at the end of combat, you still get to keep the bonus cast of Hex until your next long rest, so you can actually carry that from one combat encounter to the next. And then at level 3, we're going to pick up a Pact Boon. Now, there are actually several of these in the tabletop, but in EA, there's only currently one available, and that is Pact of the Chain, which grants you a Familiar. Familiars are kind of like pets, basically. They can do a little bit for you in terms of combat. They can scare enemies, that type of thing. Personally, I like to take a Quasit, but there's no real wrong choice here. And then for our spell this level, I like to pick up Misty Step to give us a little bit of movement. But moreover, this level 3 is the level where we're going to get what is called Searing Smite. This is coming from being a Zariel Tiefling. Now, we're not going to get a ton of use out of this until level 4, but basically this allows you to add 2d6 fire damage to whatever melee weapon you're wielding when you attack something in melee. And that brings us to level 4, which is as high as you can get in early access. We're going to get an extra cantrip. I like to pick up Chill Touch personally, and for our spells, I like to pick up Shatter, though you can kind of pick whatever you want at this point. Now, at level 4, you can take an ability score improvement, or you can swap that to a different feat. We're going to swap it to a different feat, because this is going to allow us to pick up Weapon Master. This will let us increase our strength or dex by 1, as well as give us a proficiency with 4 weapons of our choice. Now, personally, the way I like to do this is use a big great weapon, like a great sword or a great club or a great axe, that kind of thing, like just a big two-handed weapon, because that's kind of how I like to play this. And then I like to add 1 more to my strength to bring it up to 13, which isn't going to do much for us. However, once the full game releases and we have access to level 8, where we can do this again, then we can take an ability score improvement to our charisma and our strength and increase the bonus we get on both of those things. But right now we're going to take greatsword proficiency. This is primarily so we can use our searing smite with a greatsword, preferably the Everburn blade from killing the devil on the Nautiloid in the prologue, which is one of the best two-handed swords you can get in early access. Grabbing Weapon Master is going to give us the proficiency to use that sword, which you won't be able to do at level 1. So this is a build that really starts to come together level 4, especially if you want to use great weapons. And up to that point, you can honestly just use your Warlock spells to pretty much trample through everything. But at level 4 is when this gets really fun. So with the Everburn Blade and Searing Smite, we're going to do 2 die 6 plus 1 slashing damage plus 1 die 4 from the Everburn Blade. And then Searing Smite itself will do an extra 2 die 6, so you can get a really big beefy hit with Searing Smite. However, you can only use that once per day. But the Everburn Blade by itself is still going to do a ton of damage on its own, and will really give you some melee viability in terms of damage. Now, we are still a Warlock, so for the most part, our spells are really the way to go when they're available, because that's what we're going to get the most damage out of. However, this will make us a very competent melee fighter as well, for say when you're out of spell slots, because that is going to happen, as you can't recharge them in combat, or a situation where you simply can't get enough distance to use something like a bow, which is also viable for Warlocks. And in combat here, for starters, we're level 4, so I did want to mention that this is where you can see that our Dissonant Whispers actually jumped up in its spell level, simply by the fact that we gained levels, because that's how Pact Magic works. We use our Searing Smite on an enemy here, and we do about 17 damage, which is enough to kill that particular enemy. And that's without even using our Hex to, say, get an extra 1 die 6 necrotic damage in there as well, or all the other versatility granted to us simply by being a Warlock. So there you go, guys, just kind of a quick build on how I like to build my Warlock in BG3's Early Access, with a little bit of a Halloween theme thrown in there just for fun. Now, that said, truthfully, I have no idea if they're going to add difficulties later on down the line, and at that point it's hard to say how viable this is going to be. However, I will say in early access, I usually clean house with this build, along with using Shadowheart, Gale, and Lae'zel. So it's 100% viable for the content currently, but again, if they add difficulties, I have no idea how that's going to work, so can't really say for sure there, but otherwise it's a fun, kind of dark build even outside of the Halloween stuff. But hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed sharing a little bit of insight on how I like to play my Warlocks. All that said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz, but regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. May you wander in wisdom, and have an amazing day.